evening. I'm Arunima. The COVID numbers in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata are going through the roof. Almost tenfold increase in the total number of cases in the metros since December. Some restrictions have been brought in, but Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has asked Delhiites not to panic because hospitalization numbers are low. On this edition of Epicenter, we're asking, is this false optimism or science? Before we get down to discussing with our experts whether whatever the response of the administration is backed by science or hope, let's just break down for you why we are so concerned. What is it that the numbers, the data are throwing up? First up, let me show you Delhi. Between 20th December and 26th of December, the total number of cases that Delhi saw were just above 1,000. 1,155 cases were reported in the national capital. And then between 27th of December and 2nd of January, look at the number of cases. From 1,000, we've reached 10,000 plus. 10,769, 832% rise in cases in the national capital just in that span. And it's the same story in almost every big state, every big city. Gujarat, 442% rise in cases. December 20th to 26th, you just saw 813 cases. But then in the next 6 days or so, 4,410 cases were reported in Gujarat. West Bengal, alarming rise, especially in the capital city of Kolkata. 3,552 cases between 20th December and 26th of December, and then 27th of December up until the New Year's, 18,000 plus cases, 442% rise in West Bengal also. Maharashtra, no different. Maharashtra, you've seen in the second wave, in the first wave as well, how badly the state was affected. Now also, from 8,292, it has gone up to 41,000, a 406% rise. And there's more news coming in as far as the Delhi situation is concerned. This is the update that we have amidst the rise in COVID cases. A meeting of the Delhi Disaster Management Authority has been convened. This will be held tomorrow under the chairmanship of the Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal. Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and top officials will attend the meeting to chart the next course of action. Rupashri Nanda is the one who's getting us those details. With me on the broadcast, Rupashri, what's on the agenda in this meeting?
Well, Arunima, what I'm picking up is definitely the Delhi situation is going to be discussed in detail. And the appropriateness of the GRAP that was developed keeping the Delta variant in mind is also going to be discussed keeping the Omicron variant in mind in the national capital. Now, if we are looking at more lockdowns, that is the question uppermost in everybody's minds. And I was talking with one person just now, and the indication clearly is that we are not immediately looking at any sort of a lockdown. One should not jump to such conclusions, but a multi-pronged approach is going to be discussed. We also learned that the government already has a plan in place. But they have to ensure that all the plans are executed simultaneously. For instance, what was told to us is that while on the one side you are trying to contain the spread of the virus in the national capital, you must also ensure that it is actually done on the ground. COVID appropriate behavior and protocol is followed on the ground. But that is only one side of what the government is expected to do. The government is also expected to keep its health infrastructure completely, ready for any onslaught of cases if and when it happens. And apart from that, also all aspects are going to be discussed, including whether testing facilities in the government is going to be ramped up. Are they in readiness to deal with 1 lakh tests per day, as the Chief Minister had said? 3 lakh tests per day. Can the government really do that? Does the government have that kind of infrastructure in place already? That talking about handling 1 lakh COVID positive cases a day, is the government ready to do that?
Right.
So that kind of approach is going to be discussed. Contain it on one side and be prepared to deal with the a possible onslaught on the other side.
Right.
In terms of more restrictions in the national capital, I will just said that it is perhaps going to be discussed amongst all the experts. All these experts, which VK Paul is there, Ranjit Guleria is there, NCDC chairman is there. All of them are going to give their feedback to the government, and after that, the government is going to take a call on that.
Right. Rupashi, thank you so much. Rupashi Nanda there reporting that there will be a meeting of the Delhi Disaster Management Authority headed by the Lieutenant Governor tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see what they decide upon. Are more restrictions likely, or they will be easing out of restriction? What is the way forward as far as Delhi's battle against the COVID surge is concerned? We will keep an eye on that story, but let me introduce my panel who have taken time out. Guru Prakash Pasman, National Spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, with me this evening. Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Chairman of the Nephron Clinic, is here. Professor Dr. Anita Ramesh Chandra, Senior Medical Oncologist of Apollo Chennai, is here as well. And Captain Shalini Singh is joining me to represent the Aam Aadmi Party. Thank you to all of you for taking time out. Before I open the discussion, I just want to share with our viewers why we are questioning whether what is being said about Omicron being a mild variant, it's not leading to a lot of hospitalization. So don't panic. Is this false optimism, or is this backed by science? Just a sample of the data that was presented by the Delhi Chief Minister. What he said was that as of 1st of January, there were about 6,360 cases active in Delhi. Of course, it has now gone up. And out of those, he said that only 262 patients needed hospitalization. This is the data that is being presented to say that perhaps we should not panic and Omicron can be handled without hospitalization. But Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, my question to you is, at the rate that COVID is rising, and most of these cases we are presuming are now being surged by the Omicron variant, what does the data suggest? I mean, what is the hospitalization data? Even if 1% of the patients need hospitalization, are our hospital infrastructure well equipped?
Good evening everyone. So let's just put medical facts on the table. Omicron is a particular kind of a strain as a variant, which is 4 to 8 times more contagious, means it spreads quicker in terms of transmissibility as compared to Delta. The doubling time is 1.8 days internationally, and it replicates 70 times more. That means it can produce more copies of itself, 70 times more, in the upper airway bronchus than Delta. So obviously it's a nasty little piece of a virus which has come across. Now the data which is there is of two different varieties. One is of the South African data, in which they've done a very extensive comparison between Delta and the Omicron, in which the Omicron, now the cases are decreasing in terms of admission, in terms of emergency visits, in terms of hospitalization, ICUs and ventilation, in which the decrease is anywhere between 60 to 84%. But on the other hand, in US and in UK, the cases are surging, and they have two different things happening there, Delta and Omicron, and they have an admission rates which are more than 100 to 200 times more, 200% more than what it was week on week. Now, what we know through 7 different international studies is that this particular virus doesn't follow the direct classical path which Delta followed to enter into the cell, which is the ACE receptors and the TMP RSS receptors. It follows an alternative path to hijack and skip the cell, to confuse the cell through the endocytes. So it is not as lethal as Delta, which the data at the present moment what it states, but the advantage of not being as lethal is lost within 2 days because it is so transmissible.
Right.
So the end point of this discussion is that it is hugely immune escape. It can escape the vaccine immunity. The vaccine immunity in all cause comparison meta-analysis of all vaccines, 7 different platforms, has dipped to 52% as vaccine efficacy after the second dose, 6 months, and then the third booster was given, which raised it up again.
Right.
So the booster is a separate part, but at the present moment, what we need to do is 4 simple ground rules. 1, avoid crowds, avoid poor ventilated places, avoid socializing, be it religious gatherings, political gatherings, social gatherings, weddings, festivities.
Okay.
Point number two is the mask. Now, in the mask, I must add, cannot be a cloth mask or a bandana or a simple surgical mask. It has to be a high specification N95 mask because the virus is highly transmissible. Wearing a mask not well fitting and not of good specification is of no use.
Right.
Point
Let
three.
me, Dr. Saab, if you give me a moment, I'll come back to you to ask about what precautions should be taken. But I do want to take the point that you have made to the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, Captain Shalini, saying, this is what I was coming to, and you've heard the experts there. We whatever data is available about Omicron, like he said, 4 to 8 times more likely, it's more contagious, does not follow the classical route. In this backdrop, has the Chief Minister really induced a false sense of optimism in the people by saying don't panic, hospitalization rate is low? It is leading to people really letting down their guard.
Good evening, everyone. See, Arunima, it is a situation which is worrisome, but not worth panicking. Delhi CM is continuously monitoring the situation, and that is why he came on record yesterday with details. Now, Omicron is a very, very mild variant of COVID as of now, because he presented the data with the second wave and how the similar number of cases and how much less hospitalization is required. But at the same time, understanding that it is spreading very fast, as Dr. Sanjeev said, so the yellow alert was put in Delhi. And after the yellow alert, we are sitting in red alert. We agree to that yes, the situation is now at red alert, but putting it now, the red alert, and locking everything, it is not feasible at this point of time, because we understand that people lose their work, the businesses are shut, so that thing also has to be seen. And why the situation is under control, because we are not seeing that number of deaths which we saw in the second wave.
Right.
Now, at the same time, the CM has also urged that we need to maintain caution. We can't take it loosely. We have to wear masks. We have to follow social distancing, COVID protocol. Everything has to be followed. Now, Delhi is prepared. 37,000 beds. Delhi is prepared to take under control whenever the surge is there and people need hospitalization. So everything was very well presented, and tomorrow is the meeting also, as you've already told. So every minute the CM is keeping an eye and urging Delhi citizens, and even he has urged to the media also to we should not develop that panic at this point of time. But yes, it is very important for each of us to spread awareness that yes, it is a very highly transmissible variant, so we have to be careful and we have to be cautious.
Guru Prakash Paswan, this seems to be like a deja vu moment. Right before the second wave struck, we were told the same thing. Don't worry, there's no shortage of oxygen. We are prepared, infrastructure is all right. And it's there for all of us to see what happened in the second wave.
Arunima, we must understand, and let me make this very clear at the outset, that I am not an epidemiologist, neither am I a virologist or a doctor. We all just heard an illustrative explanation that Dr. Sanjeev Bagai just gave for our viewers and for all of us. But I would say that there are three important factors which we must take in consideration before we make any comment on it. First, we must understand that there is the higher vaccination coverage. And we know this. In this entire fight, Arunima, against this global pandemic, we have seen that India's national vaccination program has been one of the most successful and the largest vaccination program. There was a data which I was recently seeing on internet. It showed us that 90% of our population, they have received the first dose, 65% of the population have received the second dose, and this is far higher as compared to the data coming from the developed countries like with the lesser population, like US, UK, France, and Spain. The second factor is that we have also started the vaccination of our young boys and girls aged 15 and 18. And from the last data I saw, over 16 lakh of them have already been jabbed. So 16 lakh people have received that vaccination. And the third factor is that, which my friend from the Aam Aadmi Party was also saying, that after a genome sequencing study, which was done recently, it was found that it is Omicron. If we know, we believe, we read that it is a milder variant, but I leave it for the wisdom of the doctor. As far as the government of India is concerned, we have seen it since the onset of the pandemic, since the onset of this disease. We have seen that the government of India's approach has been proactive in every sense, be it mask, sanitization, government facility, oxygen, and so on and so forth. But right, like you said, that I would term it as a sense of cautious optimism, not false optimism. We have to be cautious, we have to be careful, and follow each and every COVID protocol mentioned by the government and the guidelines as mentioned by our friends from the doctor fraternity.
Right. Dr. Anita, I want to take your views as an expert on that point about vaccination. You know, why I'm calling this false optimism is because on the ground, if you move around, you will see number of people who are wearing that mask has drastically gone down. They think that if they have got the, 2 doses of the vaccine, or if the Omicron variant is supposedly a mild variant, they can do away with social distancing. They can do away with the mask. And that is why it is important to underline this. Help us understand what is the equation as far as Omicron with double vaccination status is concerned? And if you can also come in on the fact that some parents have expressed concern that if Omicron is making no distinction between an adult and a child, has the teenage vaccination process come in a little too late?
Yes, you are right. This it's a pertinent question, and many of us are putting it forward. Why get vaccinated, or why, even if you're vaccinated, do we get protection? See, if you see the reports coming from Botswana, South Africa, many of the initial people who got infected were even received third dose and they got it. So there is this Omicron virus as an immune escape phenomenon. Okay, because of the mutations in the spike protein, they are escaping the immune response. Now let me come back to vaccine. Now this vaccine, first dose, second dose, gives you both the Covaxin and the Covishield available in India, gives you protection to 60 to 70% against the corona main or the standard coronavirus, which also covers the Omicron because there is mutation inside this. But never vaccine gives you 100% protection at any point of time. Yes, 20 to 30% chance is there, you can get infected, but it will be a milder infection, moderate infection. You may not need ICU, you may not need a ventilator for that. That's the advantage of a vaccine. Yes, with Omicron, we have seen the data. It is evading the immunity. But remember, something is better than nothing. The Omicron main structure is the coronavirus same. So our Covaxin Covishield is an inactivated vaccine, and that's something very good. Indian vaccine is giving more protection and more immunity and more safety. It will protect you from the Omicron to maybe 50. Maybe the immunity may not be 60 to 70%, maybe 50%, but still it helps you to come out of your next viral infection in a milder form with some fever, some infection, body ache, and you don't get the severe lung infection, which we saw in the Delta virus. And if you see the world data, those who got admitted with Omicron are all unvaccinated, okay, or have not received the second dose. So yes, our vaccination second dose, and that's why our Prime Minister declared the booster dose or additional dose and the children dose, knowing that this Covaxin Covishield does give a protection to the Omicron strain as well. May not be up to 100% limit, but little lesser, but prevents you from mortality, morbidity, ICU, higher drugs, and what we saw in the Delta in the last wave, that prevents it.
Dr. Bagga, if you can also, you want to make one more point, and then I'll go to Dr. Bagga.
And if you see the last data, Pfizer released the third dose of Pfizer, if it's given good immunity amongst the Omicron variant. Moderna released data. Yes, a booster dose gives you a lot of neutralizing antibodies to us. So there is emerging data. So yes, vaccine is there, will be with this. It is a protection, but don't remove your masks. And one more thing I want to tell the people of India. Yes, many of us may not be able to afford an N95 masks on a regular basis. Yes, a 2-ply, 3-ply home masks, and you wear 2 masks. Even 2 masks, because many of the village people not be able to.
All right. Dr. Bagga, if you can also clarify, when we say that Omicron is a milder variant, I mean, are we only talking about the symptoms? Are we sure that the long-term impact of this on the body will also be different or milder from, say, a Delta?
Yeah, so 2 points in this. Just to complete with regards to the vaccination, I don't want people to feel that this vaccine is not going to work against Omicron. The vaccines will work against Omicron. The effect may be slightly blunted, maybe 20 or 30%, but it will give you a huge amount of added immunity, both B cells and T cells. And also for people who've been previously exposed to Delta or have been vaccinated earlier, they develop what we call as a T cell, memory T cell reactivity. That means it remembers previous infection, remodulates itself to fight against Omicron. So you're reasonably well protected with the vaccine. And I want to put on record that not only all the states, but the union government and India at large has done brilliantly well and even outbeat US now in terms of first vaccines and the second vaccine. So we've done very, very well. But we can't stop. Now, with regards to your question of whether it's going to be mild, moderate, or severe, the data what we have at the present moment, although it is still dynamic and evolving, is that the lung involvement is much lesser as compared to Delta. But the sheer numbers which can potentially get infected because of its exceedingly high transmissibility, we may even see a large number of lung infections if you look at it statistically from an endpoint point of view. So we cannot put our guard down. My message is get yourself vaccinated. Please wear a mask. Do not attend any social gathering unless until it's extremely important. The mask should be well fitted. Do not consider it an ornament. Wearing it below your chin or above your nose. Please protect yourself.
And if you're still not convinced, look at the global numbers. I'm just about to show you how the Omicron surge is affecting all the big countries worldwide. Let me begin by bringing you United States of America. Look at the surge, 16.5% surge in US, and they have a much better infrastructure than any other country. From December 27th up until now, they've seen an increase of 16.5% case. Next up, United Kingdom, 38.4%. This is a country which is really struggling with its COVID numbers, constantly going up, a surge of almost 40% there between 27th of December and now. South Africa, thankfully a country which hit the panic button first, is now showing a steady decline. A 10.7% decline has been shown by South Africa, and that is giving some hope that perhaps this quote-unquote milder variant could just pass by India also without affecting us that much. South Africa definitely is something that people are hoping will be replicated. But in Israel, 135.4%. So like the experts on the panel were pointing out, there seems to be two extremes there. If one is South Africa, the other was Israel. China, almost 50% rise in cases there. They were only at 2,158 cases, and now they've gone on to 3,127. Only one province is affected in China. But in Japan, again, look at the increase, 79.6%. So China, Japan, these are countries which tell you, how badly the numbers are growing. We also told you about United Kingdom. But going back to my political guess, one thing, Guru Prakash, which I have to ask you is what people are asking. You're asking the general population, 50% occupancy in offices, stay indoors, cinema halls shut here. But the election rallies continue unabated. That's a constant comparison that the common man is asking. How can you allow super spreader events like election rallies?
Arunima, we must understand that democracy is one of our biggest soft power, and democracy is unsustainable without elections. So elections are a prerequisite. And as far as the elections are concerned, the Election Commission of India, which is a constitutional body, which is an independent body, which is an autonomous body, is constantly in touch with all the relevant stakeholders. There was recently a meeting held in Uttar Pradesh where a delegation of all the political parties went, and they had a detailed discussion with the Election Commission of India. So we are waiting, and our senior leader, Mr. G.A. Shekhawat, also said on record that we are ready to accept any conditionality which the Election Commission of India recommends, be it virtual rallies, digital rallies, and so on and so forth. So we are waiting for the verdict from the Election Commission of India. Whatever the Election Commission of India says would be treated with highest priority, Arunima.
Right. Captain Shalini is saying, you're one of the stakeholders, one of the major players, so to say, in Punjab. You're a major player or claiming to be one in Goa as well. What you do, how you portray your role is being seen closely. And this is what Delhiites are also asking, that, you are shutting down. There's a soft lockdown here. 50% of the population is unhappy, they say, because cinema halls have been shut down. Markets are seeing odd, even. But election rallies in Punjab, for example, go on like there is no COVID there. So there's also a political criticism that is happening of your party.
So Arunima, so somehow echo the same thing what Mr. Guru had said, that it is we are in a democracy and election is a prerequisite. We need to have elections every 5 years. Is the biggest festival of democracy, we say. But at the same time, Election Commission of India has to come and follow the guide, formulate the policy. The central government has to come along and formulate the policy, because see, it has to be free and fair election. People wait for these elections every 5 years, and they have to they have the right to know which are what all choices and options they have in terms of choosing the government they want. And every party is not just that Aam Aadmi Party is doing a rally. Every political party which is participating in the elections are rallying. So somebody has to come forward and formulate the policy, and I'm sure Aam Aadmi Party will be the first one to follow all the rules and regulations. And at the same time, what you told about Delhi, that yes, a yellow alert has been there. So the Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal ji is on alert, and he seeing the situation of Delhi, he has put it on alert. Similarly, the other states can do the same thing, and like public gatherings have been banned in Delhi, the other states can come forward and follow the same.
Right,
So,
Captain Shalini Singh,
I think we all
Thank
should
you.
come together. There should be no discussion and no debate on this. We all should come together and fight it out.
Right,
This is my
right. So our doctors have told us what is it that needs to be done. Our doctors have told us that we can't let our guard down. Omicron could be mild, like Guru Prakash said. It could be called cautious optimism. It can be called false optimism. But whatever optimism it is, science is making it very clear. You cannot let your guard down. And I think that is the bottom line on which all my panelists will agree, that we will have to let our guard up constantly. I really thank all of you for taking time out and joining us. There's breaking news coming in from Uttar Pradesh. There's a COVID alarm for Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. She has tweeted that a member of her family and one of the staff have tested COVID positive. She said that I have tested negative. However, the doctor has advised that I remain isolated and test again after a few days. Pallavi Ghosh is with me on the phone line. So Pallavi, this is a huge scare, not just for the Gandhi Vadra family, but for the Congress party also, which was banking on Priyanka Gandhi's rallies for its prospects in Uttar Pradesh.
Yes, and she has been campaigning very, very actively and mixing around with the crowd. And there is huge concern that amidst this entire COVID surge, should our politicians actually be attending these huge rallies? But what for now, we know that one of the members of the family, we haven't been told who exactly the person is also got COVID. And apart from that, one of her staff members. But what we do know is that one of the staff members is the one who really has been accompanying her in all her rallies. So as a precautionary measure, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has decided to put it off the rallies completely.
Right, Pallavi, thank you so much for joining us. First, it was the family of Akhilesh Yadav, which tested positive for COVID. Now, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has also tweeted saying her family members have contracted the virus. Just one more reminder there that we have to be on our guards. We have to be cautious, wear that mask, ensure that social distancing is maintained. And if you are eligible for a vaccine dose or for a precautionary dose, please get that. On that note, I will wrap up, but news and updates continue on the other side.